Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for October 30th, 2021. Last day of, well, we got October 31, the next to the last day of October. And I'd like to welcome you and tell you a little bit about myself. I was a math teacher for over 20 years and now I retired and I'm working here doing my books and keeping up on political cartoons, and I'd like to share them with you, as I always do, for the countdown, and tell you a little bit about my books and my website. If you want to go and see any of my cartoons on Richard's Books of Political Cartoons, no punctuation, no apostrophe on the S, just plain Richard's Books of Political Cartoons.com. So every week before we start the countdown, I always like to take an historical look back and show you what was happening a year or two, sometimes 3 years ago, from one of my books. So before we get to the countdown, here is from. This is actually a tweet from Rudy Giuliani from October 29th, 2019. So I'll show that to you here. Here you have it. Okay, and this is how it goes. The introduction. Rudy Giuliani attacks Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Friedman, suggesting star impeachment witness. He was a star impeachment witness, Friedman, because he was witness to a lot of things, is disloyal and, quote, confused, and less than 100% loyal to America, citing a New York Times report that said this witness discussed Giuliani's shadow diplomacy effort to get dirt on the Bidens with Ukrainian counterparts in their native tongue. Okay? So he's saying basically that Friedman acted like a double agent. He was really working for the Ukrainians. His heart wasn't working for the Americans. And that's what Giuliani here was alleging about Friedman. And here's Friedman here. Okay? And he's on a telephone conversation with Giuliani. And here's a tweet that Giuliani put together here, from word for word, another shifty so he calls this here, Giuliani in his tweet from October 29th, 2019, he calls another shifty backfire, a U.S. government employee who has reportedly been advising two governments. So again, he's accusing Alexander Friedman, a respected high-level officer in the Army, of carrying on a dialogue that wasn't 100% for the United States. So he's making that allegation here. No wonder he is confused and feels pressure. However, the only opinion that legally counts is President Zelensky's, that was president of Ukraine, who has clearly said no pressure. See, he wants those weapons. That the pressure is right next door from Russia. That's the pressure. So he says, clearly said no pressure from the Trump administration. End of impeachment. End of Schiff. Okay, so Schiff again here. This is when Adam Schiff, was launching these investigations into the Ukrainian, saying that, making allegations that the Trump administration was using their leverage on Zelensky as far as getting weapons to kind of smear Joe Biden and his son about their endeavors, about Joe Biden's son endeavors in the Ukraine. He was like on the board of directors or director somewhere, and he was being paid like $50,000 a month or something like that, So it don't look good. I mean, it's not a good optic. but it's a big jump to say that they're doing, really bad stuff. So anyway, end of impeachment, end of shift. Because he's saying the star witness here, Vindman, has been compromised by his double dealings between Ukraine and the United States. So then you have here is the president of Ukraine here, and he's thinking to himself, and he's calling up President Trump now, and he's calling President Trump, and there's Russian President Putin in a tank moving along, heading towards the border there. He's thinking of that, you see. That's what his thoughts are, you see. His thoughts are on that as he speaks to then President Trump. Okay, then President Trump. Okay, and he says to him, so this is all thinking. President Trump, thank you for your support in the area of defense. We are ready to buy your American missiles and to launch an investigation into the Bidens. We could use more information. So he's thinking about going along with then President Trump as he's thinking about the Russian tanks coming in there. That's his thought. So he's feeling more threatened now by the Russians than that was 2 years ago, again, October 29th, 2019. A tweet from Rudy Giuliani. Okay, this is not. I made a mistake before. This is Vindman. This is Vindman. Yes. No, wait. This is Zelensky. This is the president of Ukraine thinking. Okay, this was the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, thinking about the Russians coming in. So 2 years ago is a long time to remember a cartoon. Okay, and that's what this was. And here was Rudy Giuliani making the accusation against Vindman. So it's a little confusing. You would think this is not Friedman. He's making the allegation, and then you have Zelensky responding to that tweet. You see, so it's a little, you gotta, but that's the point. What I like about my books is that, I think is good about my books is that you can refresh your memories because before you read the cartoon, it's encapsulated the title of what went on then, and it tells you about what was going on. So you always remember that. So it's like a comedy. It's a political cartoon encyclopedia. And in a way, to coin the phrase, it's an info cartoon because it gives you the information in the background, what was happening at that time period, plus you get the cartoon. So to refresh your memory, and that's something that's unique about my cartoons. But I look at everybody else's cartoons and I get hysterical. Some of them are terrific, and they don't need, some of them don't even need any words because you just look at it and you say, wow, that's terrific. So I'm just saying, from my point of view, speaking about my work, that's unique about my work, is that you could go back and look at it from 2-3 years ago, and you get what was going on, you get the date it was made, and everything like that. So that's about that. So this was the book here. That was the book. Okay. With the White House in the background. This again is the edition 2 from July to December of 2019. Here was my 2020 book, which is entitled The Whole Book, which is the whole year here. The whole year. So there it is. Whole year of 2020. Okay, and this is my current book, the 2021 book, and this has part 1 that will end on going from till December, and till the end of December, and then in January there'll be an edition 2 coming out. Okay. This time I decided to draw the cover myself, put it in the Capitol. And that was the book. Okay. This was, again, edition 1 from that same from 2019. You have that. And this book is from my first book, which I included the Democrat and Republican candidates leading into the election of President Trump and up to, the title says, the greatest book of political cartoons on the Trump presidency with a flashback to Democrats and Republican candidates of 2016. So there you go. Right from 2016, taking it up to 2018. And there you have that. So you got a series or chronology of events and cartoons. If you want to go to my website, just to browse around, it's like a political Disney World. I invite you to do that. You can just browse through there. You see all my past cartoons and my works. And it's like a free ticket to political Disney World. No admission charge. So again, that's Richard's books, so politicalcartoons.com. No apostrophe on the S. Okay, folks, let's get started now on the, first of all, this is not part of the countdown because I just completed this a little while ago. This just happened yesterday. So this is, I'm giving to this first. This is outside of the countdown. Hasn't been put up on Twitter yet. Okay? This is former President Trump now. Former President Trump calling Kevin McCarthy up on the phone, and very, very happy about Adam Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger, Representative Adam Kinzinger, who's been a thorn in former President Trump's. He's been a thorn in his back, since talking about the President Trump, his talk he gave to the rioters before entering the Capitol, and instigating the riot, and so he's been a thorn, rehashing all that stuff, and not supporting the president. So now that he's resigning, the president has good reason to rejoice, and he does that and also another aspect of this cartoon is that McCarthy is starting now a sort of like a recruitment program, a young guns recruitment program for people to take young Republicans to take the place, to fill the gap, take over, to run for offices throughout the country, for positions of power in our political system. So they're recruiting people for that young Republican, it's a young guns recruitment program. So this guy, Adam Kinzinger, has said he's going to work to make sure that even though he's not going to be in office, he's going to work to see that the people who were responsible for the riot, the Capitol riot, and disgracing our Capitol, will be dealt, work towards that, and work towards seeing that investigating if President Trump has any direct connections to the riot there. So we all saw the tapes and everything like that. So it's a pretty well a conclusion that he did instigate former President Trump was an instigating factor right up to the riot. The question is, it's the Rubicon, the question of crossing the Rubicon. How far did he go over the Rubicon to make a determination of criminality, or whatever you want to call it? So that's something you have to leave up to the legal department. And what Kissinger's been doing is trying to encourage them to stay focused and go on with their investigation to whatever they come out with, and not to just drop it, So the interesting thing is that by being outside of the political arena, he might be able to exert more influence because of the fact that the thing is, once Republicans get, if I don't say once, if the Republicans get control of the House and the Senate, then he figures to himself, what could I do then? I can't do nothing there. I'm handcuffed by my own party, because he's like a renegade in his own party. So he said, what the hell, what am I doing here? So it makes sense. So he wants to get out and maybe, who knows, run for a political office some other time when the smoke clears on all this business. So it makes good sense. So anyway, here's the cartoon, folks. I talked more than I wanted to do about this one, but it's a very controversial thing here, you know. Anyway, this was a cartoon, okay? Former President Donald Trump calls House Minority Leader and loyalist Kevin McCarthy amid watching news Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger, an outspoken critic of him and one of a handful of Republicans who voted to impeach the former president on the charge of inciting the January 6th Capitol riot, will not seek re-election. So, President Trump, when he heard that, so here he is right here, watching that, getting news of that. Thumbs up, you see? And he picks up the phone, and he calls here Kevin McCarthy. Here he is in his office. Okay, there he is. Here's his Zephyr Hills water bottle there. You can see Zephyr Hills. American flag and the Zephyr Hills water bottle. He's on the phone with now former President Trump, who he probably addressed as President Trump. So here we go. And here we go. And here goes former President Trump. Thumbs up. And he's saying, "Hello, Kevin. This is fantastic. Now send me photos of 3 candidates to run for Kissinger's House seat next year, assuming they're all qualified replacements for Kissinger, for Adam Kissinger." Okay, and here is McCarthy responding here. And he's saying, "Mr. President, they have all been qualified by my Young Guns recruitment program." So this is like the naval recruitment offices or Army recruiting. He's opening up a recruiting office for young guns of the Republican Party who believe in the stop the steal philosophy or whatever, that the election was stolen, and Joe Biden is, to the extent that Joe Biden is not the right president right now. So all these, they're trying to get a group of these people to run for offices all around the country, whether it's statewide or state senates, in the senates of the state senators, or senators to the federal, to the into the capital, U.S. senators, or congressmen, or could be anybody who meets that qualification of believing that the United States election of 2020 was stolen. If you fit in that category and you're young, and you got maybe 1/10 of a brain, you make it, So anyway, here it is. So here he goes. He says, "Mr. Former President Trump is friend about their being qualified. Mr. President, they have all been qualified by Young Guns recruitment program. My assistant has sent it." So here it was. Here's the 3 that he sent to who could take Kissinger's replacement, and that's just the computer that was sent out on, and it's up there. It was already sent, so it's up there. The 3 replacements by his recruiting people have spotted as potential candidates to run in Kissinger's place. And then Kevin goes, "Good work. I see them. Send me more information about the middle candidate. The one with the dark glasses." Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here was McCarthy in his office talking to President Trump, former President Trump, and here is former President Trump rejoicing that Kissinger's not going to run again, picking up the phone, speaking to McCarthy, thumbs up. And here are the 3 replacements for Adam Kinzinger. Okay, let's get to the countdown now. Here we have Joe Manchin. This is number, see, I got 4. This is numero cuatro de la semana, number 4 of the week. Here we got Joe Manchin doing the peppermint twist. People my age remember the song. We got a new dance and it goes like this. The name of the dance is the peppermint twist. Yeah, that was a song from Joey D. and the Starlights from the early 1960s. You know, and then there was a place called the Peppermint Lounge that they named after the song. I think there was a Peppermint Lounge in New York City. I wasn't old enough to go to that then, though. I'm not that old. Okay. There he has the American flag, and he's doing the twist, the peppermint twist. Okay. Here's the background. Okay, Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat, West Virginia, who participated in the shooting down of the House vote on the Senate-passed infrastructure bill, raising corporate taxes from 21 to 26.5%. You see, this was the Trump. They were 26.5 when Trump came into office, and he lowered it to 21. So all the Democrats want to do is bring it back to 26.5. So this is not really, it is raising it, but it's bringing it back, it's really taking away the Trump tax cuts. It's not like they're cutting off their arms or their legs. All they're doing basically is taking away what the Trump administration brought in, the tax cuts, and they're going back to the way it had been at 26.5. You know, they're going they were proposing to raise it to 26.5 from the 21% that former President Trump's administration dropped it down to in the Republican Congress. I shouldn't say the Trump administration, the Republican Congress with all those, Mitch McConnell and all those people. They voted to do that, to lower it for the wealthy people. The idea was, going back to Ronald Reagan's theory of trickle-down economics, that if the wealthy get all that money, then they invest it in and people get more jobs and they raise salaries. But it didn't work out that way, because what they did is they bought the stock options, they bought back their own stock and spent that money to buy back their own stock and did it on stock options. So it didn't work out that way, but that was the theory behind that lowering of the taxes for the corporations. So anyway, that's a footnote. So anyway, and by himself shut down the Ron Wyden, Democrat Oregon, proposed billionaire tax that would hit only the 700 wealthiest Americans to pay for a big chunk of the Democrat spending package. So what Joe is against here is even these people making $300 million 3 years in a row, but you're targeting Americans. If you're going to tax these people just because they're making $300 million in 3 consecutive years, you're targeting those people. You're putting them under the gun. You're targeting them, you know? So that's what Joe's saying. He don't like the idea. I mean, this would be basically to support the program and to shore up Medicare and all that. But no, we can't target anybody who makes $300 million for 3 years in a row. It's really targeting them, you know? It upsets me a little bit. It's not American. But yet now, Joe turns around, and guess what? He's for taxing the corporations that make profit over $1 billion a year. That's okay with Joe now. You want to tax the corporation that make profits in a year over $1 billion, that's okay. Because those aren't people, you see, those are corporations. But who makes up corporations? Joe, I got a message for you. There's not one corporation that operates without people. Corporations are not like aliens from outer space. They are made up of people. The president of the corporation is a human being. The guy who cleans the toilet is a human being. The whole corporation is made up of human beings. So you're targeting human beings under the umbrella of a corporation when you say it's okay to raise taxes on 15% or whatever on corporations that make $1 billion a year. Target those corporations, but it's not good to target people who I don't like the idea. The whole concept of targeting is no good. So that's where I have a problem with Joe on that. Seems to me a conflict there. But again, that's his twist. He does that. Now here's the patriot twist. So anyway, so spending power, and went on to float the idea of what he called a patriotic tax that imposes a 15% tax on people who escape taxes through loopholes. So Joe goes in there and he votes against all this business of raising corporate taxes, okay? He votes against, he never got to that point because they knew we would support it, the Ron Wyden plan. And then he turns around, I got my own plan here. I'm all American. I got my own plan here. And he's going to tax he calls it the patriotic tax, and says people should be proud and really very, very grateful for being so wealthy that they would be happy to contribute to Biden's program, to his Build Back Better plan. They should be happy to do that. It's really they're patriotic. They'll feel patriotic. He's injecting all that stuff. You see, but the thing here is that and this is something that Ron Wyden himself came out and said. The problem there is that these people may not be that patriotic enough to go ahead and tell their accountants not to look for loopholes and to find a way to spread their incomes over different years and not report the right income and have a tax maneuver where they don't report this for this year and they report their income, another income for next year, and have ways of manipulating their income. You see, so that's what Ron Wyden brought that up, but Joe's plan never took off, but at least it got Joe on the record of coming in with a patriotic tax, called a patriotic tax. Be proud to contribute to, the rich will be proud to do this, to support, So anyway, so then I said to myself, well, it's time for Joe Manchin to do his patriotic twist. And I said to myself, well, what goes? Oh, I remember the song, the Peppermint Twist, came it together, and then I did it. And here it is, okay? Below, Manchin does his adaptation of Joey D's 1960s hit, Peppermint Twist, which is really, for him, the patriot twist, okay? Because he's leaving the people twisted out in the cold. That's what he's doing. Because basically, his plan is full of loopholes, is a loophole plan full of Swiss cheese loopholes itself. Again, because they don't have to, the rich wouldn't have to report. They could manipulate their income every year, not to get it as low as possible. So here is the song that I wrote, adapted to the Peppermint Twist, and I call it Joe's adaptation to the Peppermint Twist. Okay, here we go. I'm no Joey D, by the way. So anyway, here. Joey D's hit, Peppermint Twist. Well, this is Joe. Well, I've got a new dance and it goes like this. Yeah, the name of the dance is the Patriot Twist. The rich will like this, the Patriot Twist. Your income goes round and around, up and abound, and the rich will do this, Patriot Twist. It's all right, have your accountant work all night. It's okay, all day, it's okay. You can change your yearly income down and down the very same day. I will never remove filibuster anyway. You'll love this, the Patriot Twist. Here it is. Here's Joe doing his Patriot Twist. Here he is. Here he is. There he is. He's doing his Patriot Twist. Waving that flag. There he is, doing the Patriot Twist. There he is. There. Oh, that one last. There he is. Okay. All right, folks. Let's get to the countdown. Start the countdown now. This is numero cuatro de la semana. Here we have number cuatro de la semana. here we have former President Barack Obama, and he's campaigning for Terry McAuliffe in Virginia. Okay, and former President Trump is watching this on the screen. Brought back memories during Obama. I enjoyed him a long time, you know. I was doing cartoons before I was writing books. I started way back with George W. Bush. When he became president, that's when I started doing my cartoons from way back then, you know. So here we go. So there it is. Okay. And he's campaigning Terry for Virginia, for governor. And Trump is watching this. There he is. Former President Trump watching this. Okay. Former President Donald Trump watching former President Barack Obama at a rally for Democratic gubernatorial candidate Terry McAuliffe in Richmond, Virginia. Saturday, October 23rd, 2021. Trump's reaction given McAuliffe will face Republican Glenn Youngkin in the November election. Okay, and the race is now virtually tied. Very close race. I mean, it's neck and neck. You see, the thing was that I think Biden had won the state by about 10 points way back, and now this guy Youngkin has kind of picked up, and his strategy has been to not condemn President Trump for anything, but to keep away from him at the same time. He's walking a tightrope there, you know. So he must have gotten pretty scared when Trump said he was coming down there, you know. So then former President Trump didn't want to give the guy a heart attack, you know. So he said, okay, I'm just going to call in. Former Trump said, okay, I won't go there. I'm just going to call in to the campaign and wish them good luck and stuff. And then Youngkin said, well, he might have felt a little bit better about him not going down there to meet with him, you know. At least he's calling in, he's not coming, you know. I don't know. He might have gotten pretty upset at that too, you know, because that's been his strategy to kind of like to not say nothing against former President Trump, not to denounce his the big lie, which is that the election was stolen, you know, which it was not. It was done, and I watched that left and right, and I saw those people come swearing that they went over and over, and the only thing that's been come up about it is that every time they looked over it, they found Biden won by more votes than they gave him credit for. So there's been no concrete information whatsoever about an election. They had every election has irregularities, but none that would have affected the election. But this goes on and on and on and on. So anyway, McAuliffe will face Republican Glenn Youngkin in the November election, and the race is now virtually tied amid Obama trying to help get more black voters to cast ballots, speaks out. So former President Barack Obama here he's talking to the Democrats, but my feeling is he's trying to zoom in on black voters, because they're the ones who are really going to have to turn out to win this election for McAuliffe in Virginia as governor. So here he is, and he's saying, "We ain't got time to be tired." He's saying, we ain't got time to be tired, you see? You know, in all the years that Obama was president, I never seen him make a face like this. I drew this right out of the picture, right as he was speaking. I just captured it like it was like I was taking a mental photograph of him. And this is the way his expression was, you know? I never seen him like that in all the years that he was president. But in 8 years, I never seen him looking with that expression. But I still got the years in there. The years haven't changed, that's for sure. The years have still stayed the same over the years. The years are still there. but he was really fired up. Okay, and here is former President Trump. And he goes, I'm F blank blank and tired of this cheating Obama, because President Trump calls him cheating former President Trump gave Obama the name of cheating Obama out of a belief that he cheated by running for president because he wasn't a U.S. citizen, that he was born in Kenya, and he never was born here. So, from the best I know, he was born in Hawaii, and that's the best I know. Hawaii is a state of the United States. So, he still came up with the name. Former President Trump calls him cheating Obama for that reason. He gave him the name. When I win again in 2024, now he's thinking to himself, since he is a native, since Obama is a native, he will make a good ambassador to Kenya. So he's thinking about trying to get Obama out of his hair. He's got Kissinger. He's got Kinzinger away out of his hair. So he'd like to get Obama, point him as an ambassador to Kenya. He says he's a native of Kenya, so it would be a good matchup. He'd do a good job. So yeah, that's that one. There it is. Okay. Now, this is a flashback cartoon that did very well on Twitter. And I just put it up there yesterday. And here we have a Biden-Macron flashback given President Biden ahead of the G20 summit in Rome on October 29th, told Macron the U.S. was, quote, clumsy in Australia submarine deal. Now, everybody's saying, oh, that's great. You see, so much different than Trump. Trump never admitted his mistakes. He never admitted nothing. Now he's saying we were clumsy. The United States is clumsy. So is that good to be clumsy? I mean, I don't know what. To say we're clumsy, I mean, imagine if we were clumsy the day that we had to put an atomic bomb on the Enola Gay to send it over there to drop an atomic bomb. And we were clumsy when we dropped the bomb and exploded the whole country up. That's what would happen today sometimes, I think, because we're getting clumsy. If you permit an atmosphere of clumsiness and you say, well, I was clumsy, I mean, it's still no excuse. But I'm just saying it gets him good in what the idea was to make friends and reunite with the French, who historically they helped us in the French between the American Revolution. The French helped us with our revolution. From England, So whether they were against England and for the America doesn't really matter. They still helped us out during the American Revolutionary War, and we had a great relationship with France. But he did admit that it was clumsy. Biden said he didn't know. Okay, that's clumsy. If you don't know what's going on with your government and what's going on here with an important ally like France, and you don't know, hey, what's going on with them? I don't know. What are they mad about? We just made a deal with Australia to sell them a few nuclear submarines. I don't know what they're mad about. What could they be mad about? But the idea was that the fact is the French probably went out and made preparations to build these submarines and investments and this and that, and they were a little bit pissed off. They took their ambassador back home, sent them back home for some French pastry. They sent him back home. So to say it's clumsy, I'm not gonna, nothing to write home about. Because to say that, well, at least he admitted it was a mistake. He's not like President Trump. But then you're condoning the idea of, okay, you can be clumsy as long as you admit it. You could do anything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go there and say, okay, that's good that he admitted that he made a mistake. It's not good that he had to admit that he made a mistake, and it's not good that he was clumsy. Because as President of the United States, he should know, especially with an important ally like France, he should know what's going on. So there you heard it from me. You ain't going to hear it from nobody else. So here anyway. Here we go, and here's here's a cartoon based on that. Okay, President Biden. This was the original cartoon that I did back then when the French got pissed off and took off, went back to France. You know, this was then. Okay, that was September 21st. This was from September 21st, 2021. Okay, President Biden has by chance meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron at the United Nations. So they went to the United Nations for a meeting there amid French anger over Australia canceling a nearly $100 billion contract to buy French conventional submarines in favor of nuclear-powered subs built with U.S. technology. Given last July, a second miniature version of the bronze Statue of Liberty on loan from France for 10 years was inaugurated. So they gave us a miniature Statue of Liberty in Washington, and there was a ceremony held there. Okay, Statue of Liberty, a second miniature version of the bronze Statue of Liberty on loan from France for 10 years. They gave it to us for 10 years, you know. Was inaugurated on the premises of the French ambassador's residence in Washington. Okay. So this he knows this has made them more angry because the fact is here they give you they edit a miniature version of the Statue of Liberty, gave it to Washington, and now they turn around and they go ahead and screw us on the submarine deal. So this added kind of fuel to the fire, this history of what had gone on then, okay, back in September, okay. Version of the loan from 10 years was inaugurated on the premises of the French ambassador's residence in Washington, D.C., alongside U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who just came back from Afghanistan. You know, he came back from his Afghanistan journey there. You know, ain't going to go there now. In a gesture at cementing Franco-American friendship. So he was there at that ceremony to cement the relationship with this was before the submarine affair. Okay. And now we have, after the submarine affair, that Biden and Macron are at the United Nations a few months ago, back in September. And I drew his United Nations here in New York City. And here are the buildings surrounding it, and all the cars, the flags. New York. Brings back memories to me. I remember going down to the UN and walking around there, taking pictures and stuff. I remember that. Watching the girls go by on the corner there. Yeah. There's the United Nations. Give you a close-up of that. Okay, and here's President Biden, by chance meeting up with Macron on the sidewalk there. Okay, so Biden goes, President Macron, the deal is we are working together to counter the challenges from China. It's our F.N. security, man. And then Macron here. Yeah, Macron. As Macron, he was skeptical about this situation there. This didn't happen. This is my concoction, okay? But Mr. President, behind our backs, you made this sub-deal that cost France about $65 billion in U.S. dollars. And here goes, and Biden retorts back to him here. Here's Biden retorting back. Guess what? To build back our alliance better, the U.S. will split the difference and order a giant $32.5 billion statue job for our West Coast with another Anthony Blinken inauguration appearance. May put a gigantic Statue of Liberty, bigger than the one in New York Harbor, in the harbor of New York, bigger than that, maybe twice as big for that kind of amount of money of $32.5 billion, maybe put it somewhere near the Golden Gate Bridge, or somewhere around San Francisco, near the Golden Gate Bridge, put it up there, for a West Coast Statue of Liberty, even bigger, So, to compensate for their loss. Okay, there was Macron, the United Nations, and President Joe Biden there back then. Okay, folks. Este es el número uno de la semana. Number one of the week. None other than, here she is, Christian cinema. Okay, Christian Cinema Democrat, Arizona, who remains opposed to supporting President Biden's agenda by raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations. Okay, watching Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen telling CNN's Jake Tapper that Democrats are considering a new tax that, if passed, would impose a tax on unrealized capital gains of wealthy individuals. So this is like, they're saying here that if somebody should die, for instance, and somebody inherits their stock or a painting or something, and an appreciated value from the price they paid for it originally, then that increase in value over time has to be taxed. So this is what unrealized capital gains. That's what it means, because the person who died never realized the capital gains, never realized it because they never sold the painting. But meanwhile, the painting is worth so much more money now. So there has to be tax on the appreciated value of the painting that somebody would inherit, a Rembrandt or whatever, something like that, So given under current rules, when the owner of an appreciated asset dies, the tax code forgets about it. See, they just forget about it, and they don't adjust for that. They don't added value over time. The tax code forgets about its added value over time, which is its unrealized capital gain. That's the unrealized capital gain, because it was never realized, because he didn't sell the painting and get the money from the sale of how much more it's worth today. He kept it, and he's inherited, and somebody's inheriting that, but they have to pay a tax on how much more the painting is worth now. It's appreciated in value. So basically, so then they're saying, and then she's hearing this. This is her hearing this thing, because she was against all the taxes. She was against raising the taxes on the wealthy. She was against all these things. She was against the billionaire tax. So she was against raising taxes altogether. You see? So here she goes. If I wouldn't vote to tax the wealthy when they were around, what makes Yellen think I would tax them later? Well, actually, I think she might have gone for that deal. She might have indicated she would support that. But the thing was that I don't know. There was something else that she did give in on to, but I know she's been against everything basically and refused to talk to people. So this is the deal here. What makes people think I would tax them later? I mean, it's logical to think, why would she go along with that? Okay, but her arms, they might have twisted her arm to the point where she gave in and said, okay, that's a possibility. I'm not sure of that 100% either way. 50-50. So you can check that out yourself just by looking that up. But the thing is that she did support. Now this I know, that for 100%, that her Christian Cinema and Joe Manchin both supported a tax on corporations that profited over $1 billion a year. So imagine they say, okay, if a corporation makes $1 billion or more a year, we'll tax them on that. You know. So I mean, it's just riddled with all kinds of conflicts. As I said before, Joe Manchin was against targeting anybody. He said, I'm against the targeting the millionaires tax, the billionaires tax, because it's targeting the very wealthy. But he's not against targeting the billion corporations that make $1 billion or more a year, which are composed of people. And so anyway, that's the story, folks. You know, I always tell you that I want to thank you very much for watching my political cartoon countdown. And there's just one other thing that I forgot to show you last week when I did the salute to Colin Powell, and we brought back George W. Bush, and his and how let's just say that Colin Powell might have been a president of the United States had he not gone along with Bush and Cheney on their endeavor with Iraq. We might have had a President Colin Powell, you know, had that not occurred. So I wanted to show it to you last week and I forgot it. So this is something I did myself, actually. I bought this card. See this card here? I went out and bought it, not to send anybody, it's a birthday card. But I didn't buy it to send anybody a birthday card, too. I just bought it because I thought it was pretty funny. And it used to give me a lot of laughs when I used to look, as I was doing cartoons about George W. Bush, you know, it'd give me a lot of laughs at the time. This was a card, a birthday card, and it goes like this. The votes are in. The votes are in. Here he is. And he's like a disc jockey. He's playing all these, he knows that he's playing these discs, you know, like a DJ. And he's saying that the votes are in. There he is, former President George W. Bush. And here we go. See, here what we got. From George W. Bush, April 18th, this was 2006. And here's what happened. Here. You open this up. See, this doesn't make, it makes noise, but it don't do what it used to do. See, it's all it does is squeak a little bit now because the years have gone by and it doesn't do this. But why I bought this card was this. You had a recording in the card. They took a recording of President George W. Bush, and he was saying, "I am the decider." This was regarding Rumsfeld. A lot of people wanted Rumsfeld out at the time. So I'll close this up. They wanted Rumsfeld out. The Secretary of Defense, Rumsfeld, they wanted him to resign over what was going on in Iraq, some incidents. I don't want to go there now. I don't want to go there anyway, anytime of that one. You look it up if you want to hear about the decide. All I got to do is look up former President George W. Bush. I am the decider, and you'll get the full picture of what I'm talking about, alluding to here with Iraq. But anyway, Rumsfeld, they just call him Rummy, Rumsfeld, he got into a little bit of a controversy, a big controversy over something that was going on in Iraq at the time. So a lot of people wanted him out. So in defense of Rumsfeld, of Donald Rumsfeld, George W. Bush said, like, he's going to decide whether Rumsfeld stays or goes. He says, he came out and said, "I am the decider. I am the decider." And then they had this card open. You opened the card, and you had the voice of then President George W. Bush saying, "I am the decider." And then you had an echo going, "I am the decider, the decider, the decider, the decider." So it was pretty funny. That's what this used to say when you opened it up. That's what it used to say when you opened it up. See? So, and then it says, and the happy birthday card was, "You rule, and not just for a 4-year term. Happy birthday." That was the card. Unfortunately, that's all it does now. It doesn't go to the decider anymore. It just makes a lot of noise. So anyway, folks, I thought I'd just throw that in. I want to thank you very much for watching my political cartoon countdown for this October 30th, 2021. And stay well, stay healthy, be grateful for what you got. And, You just got to hang in there. And as I always say, God bless you and God bless America. Bye, folks. See you next time.